Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. I am very excited to be joined by Coach Simon Brown of William Penn out in Iowa. How are you doing today, Coach?
Good, pal. How's things with you?
Doing all right. Thanks for joining us and taking the time. Um, there's a lot of people who maybe aren't familiar with William Penn out in Iowa, but hopefully we'll enlighten them a bit. And let's start talking about just the way you do your recruiting. So um, when do you start looking at players? What year in high school? When do you start hearing from players that are interested in your program?
Yeah, so hearing from players, I'll talk about first. So we hear from players probably, more local kids, sophomore, junior year. Um, and to be honest, we don't do much. There's not much with that on the men's side. We start probably a year out. So probably going into your senior year, the summer of your senior year is when that we'd probably be able to facilitate is a wrong word, but we'd be able to give you we'd be able to help you with the process. Juniors and sophomores is more just like identifying. But the way that we work and most of men's soccer, I'll say, is usually it's a year out. It's going into your senior year. That's from what a lot of my peers have said at air level anyway, at the NAI level. And I know that's the same for some other places too. So unless you're a superstar kid, but if you're a superstar kid, you're probably not coming to NAI school at William Penn too. So yeah, so that's usually how early we would start. And then we probably kick into gear towards the end of our season. So October, November is when we'd start putting out a little bit more feelers to the different recruiting agencies and when emails start to pick up. And then we go probably all the way up through what would be a kid's senior year. Like we've signed kids in June to come in that August.
Wow.
So we've signed kids that late. But for us, the main reason being is, I'm the only full-time coach here. So it's just time,
Yeah.
like if I'm in season, I'm focusing on in season. And then anything other than that is trying to get the best out of our kids. So I'm scouting, I'm planning sessions, I'm doing all the other stuff that entails of doing the travel, doing all that stuff. So we're only really looking a year out. So as soon as the season ends, that's when we really kick into gear. So November, December, big months for us. And then we don't have a dead period at NAI, so we can crack on over the whole Christmas. And the same thing into January. So like January is a busy month for us. We just had a visit day last week where we had 15 kids here. So right now it's pretty busy for us, and we've probably got 2 more kids that we're trying to find.
Okay.
That's being helped a lot with. And we'll get into that if you want. That's what helped a lot. A lot of our kids are using their COVID year. So this was supposed to be a big recruiting class for me. Sorry, I'm just going to mute my thing. This is supposed to be a big recruiting class for us, because we had a lot of junior college kids 2 years ago. But now it's not, because all my seniors want to come back for their COVID year. So I don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot of need, because all my senior kids from last year are coming back, which is good news. But for kids looking through the recruitment process, there just isn't a lot of spots, and that's from what I'm hearing from a lot of places. It's
the COVID years changed a
easier is
lot
the
of.
wrong word, but if I have a kid that's been here for 4 years for me and knows the conference, knows the competition, we're probably gonna ride with them. That can get an extra year out of them.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So I guess I'll come at it from a little different angle. Your accent's definitely not an
Sorry,
Iowan.
I can't hear you. 1 second.
Oh.
Sorry. There you go. Sorry, I missed
Okay.
that first part. Sorry.
That's okay. Well, I was gonna say, your accent's definitely not an Iowan accent, and looking at your roster, you guys got quite a bit of international flavor there on your roster. So when you're recruiting your American-based players, where do you like to go? What in terms of tournaments and things to find players?
Yeah, a couple of different things. Like I'll talk just in the last year. I went down to an IMG showcase last winter.
Oh, we should have grabbed the coffee.
I know, yeah. I know. Yeah. We'll know for next
Next
year,
time.
right?
Next time.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Vegas to the Mayor's Cup. I went to the California JUCO Showcase. And then in and around the Midwest, you know, there's we're only a couple of hours from Chicago, Kansas City, St. Louis, Omaha. So all the local clubs around there, they normally invite us into those tournaments. So that's our main base. We do quite well out of California. With the kids, you can see most of the kids that we have, American kids, are California. And then we get kids from, you know, down south too. So all over. We don't discriminate is the wrong word. We don't discriminate. If you're good enough, you're good enough. Doesn't matter where you're from, or, you know what I mean? If you're good enough and you want to come to Iowa to play, we'll take you.
So now how are you getting your international pipeline?
A lot of it is through, you know, it's through watching film online. You know, we've got, this will be my 5th year at William Penn. Going into my 3rd year as the head coach. Is just, you accrue a lot of those relationships. So, you know, you take a kid your 1st year and through the same recruiting agency, and then that person messages you back, like, how is so-and-so doing? Like, we actually have this kid. So it takes a while to build those relationships with the recruiting agencies so that they send you the best players first. But yeah, there's so many of them. There's so many, like, now I'm honestly probably getting at least, I'm probably getting 50 emails a day from recruiting agencies that have a number of kids. And like I said, we're a small NAI school, so I can only imagine what Division 1 schools are getting, what good D2 schools are getting, you know, what teams are getting. So it's like, yeah, we get a lot. And I think a lot of it is data dumping, but yeah, we get a lot of kids, and it's tough to sift through it all. You know, I've got a couple of GAs that help out quite a lot with that. But yeah, well, like we're still contacting kids from, you know, Florida, kids from down there that we're able to find online too. So yeah.
So you say you're getting a bunch from agencies. How many are you getting just from players themselves, and what do you like to see in that first communication from a prospect?
So we do get some from players themselves. And I just think that the easiest thing for us, because we get so much, we don't need a lengthy email. You know what I mean? Like the film, and something like within the film, a 5-minute clip of you playing. You said it doesn't need to be a full game. It doesn't need to be 20 minutes, because we're just, for lack of, we're not watching it. You're not watching it. You know what I mean? So I don't mean to sound crude, but like, you're going to spend an extra 75% of your time putting together a 20-minute video, when 5 minutes you can get everything you need in there. Like, I don't need to see a kid passing the ball sideways for 8 minutes. If you can do it once or twice, I know that you can do it. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, like, I mean, if you want, like, some kids put in stats too. Some kids talk about the level that they're playing. You know, which like I play. It was like, I used to play DA, I play ECNL, I play US National League. I was playing in this tournament, that team, type of thing. So yeah, that helps just to put some validity to it. So yeah, short and sweet, to the point. Here's my video. And then the next conversation would be about, you know, have you been to Iowa before? Some kids just email every school in the country, and some kids make it more tailored to, hi, Coach Brown. I see you guys went to the national tournament last year. Like, you know what I mean? So it's yeah, every kid has their own way of doing it, and there's no right or wrong way. Just for us, we prefer condense. Here's the information that you need, because you're going to want to see the film right away.
That makes sense. Well, when you're looking at players, whether that's on the film or at one of these tournaments or something, what's your hierarchy of what you're looking for, both on and off the field, from a player?
Yeah, I think one of the things for us, and just my personal, we always get asked when we speak to kids, they always ask, like, what's your style, or what's your philosophy? I can't help that I'm intense to speak to, and then when I'm coaching, so I want to see that in my kids too. So I mean, if a game is going on and a kid is standing around, it's a big no for us, because there's at our level, we can't afford anybody to stand around. There's not a lot of superstar players that are that good where they can just stand there like a Ronaldo or a Messi, and then just everyone else do the job and get me the ball.
Yeah.
So having a high work rate with and without the ball is massive for us. Just your overall energy and intensity when the game goes on. I think that you stand out to us because it means that, you know, you're willing to work, not just for yourself, but for your team. Shows that you're a good teammate, and then you're able to impact the game, you know, with that energy, and then the technical, tactical stuff that can all come along with it. But yeah, just your work rate is you can control that, and it's one of the things that we look for. You know, we get highlight videos all the time of a kid that will play left midfield, for example, and when his team doesn't have the ball, he'll just stand there, and I'm just like, no way, I can't. Like, there's no way I can justify having him on the team and making everybody go sprint and do work when he's just going to stand out there and not do that. So as good as they are, it's just tough for me sometimes to sell with that, and that's just a personal preference. So
it makes perfect sense to me. So when you're looking at your, you know, let's take the COVID year out of it, because that's, you know, obviously a big difference for everybody, but you know, is there a set number of players you're trying to bring in every year, or does it just kind of vary with your graduating classes?
Yes to both. There's a set number, and it's usually with the graduating, like who's leaving, who needs replacing, and then who can we replace. So again, who is replacing the seniors that are leaving, and then who can we replace? So is there better out there than what we already have? If not, then we're probably not going to be able to give them, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense for us to go through the scholarship route if there's somebody here that we have already that we think we can develop into a better player, as opposed to, you know, giving a scholarship to somebody that we'd have to bring back in. So does that answer the question? Sorry.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So you mentioned scholarships, you're NAIA, so you do have athletic money, but how does that work specifically at your school, especially in combination with, say, academic money or other aid from the school?
Yeah, so every school is different, especially the NAIA level, in regards to their scholarships. So for us, we're one of two. We do academic or athletic.
Okay.
So if you have great grades, you're going to get an academic scholarship. If you don't have great grades and you're really good at soccer, you're going to get a soccer scholarship. So it's one or the other for us, and both can go up to a pretty sizable chunk of your scholarship. But you hear the term in college coaching like stack. Can you stack academic and athletic?
Yep.
Don't stack. It's either you're on a soccer scholarship or you're on an academic scholarship. One or the other. If you're on an academic scholarship, you can be on the soccer team. But that's pretty much how our university specifically works. So
okay, makes sense. In terms of going back to recruiting, do you do a lot of ID camps specifically at your school? Do you work? How do camps fit in? Do you and your coaching staff do other camps? How do camps just fit in?
Yeah, I like doing other schools' camps. You know, because it's like when you run your own camp, it's nice to have kids come here, but you're worried about everything else. I'm worried about the food. I'm worried about like the facilities, the weather, you know, check-in process. I'm worried about little Billy, the cars broke down on I-35. You know, like all those things have happened. But when you're working somebody else's camp, you're just a coach there, and you get to watch the kids, and you know it's relaxing. You know, you can have fun with the kids. So I do enjoy that part of it where you get to just be a coach, because everything in our world is administrative work and office work and paperwork. So as little as we can do with that, the better. Well, I like to delegate the work of the camps to the coaches, and it's better for them to learn how to do that. So I have a couple of graduate assistants that we're trying to get involved with that. But yeah, like there's enough Division 1s around us that they're always looking for coaches to come in and run their camps, and then you go in there, and it's always a good conversation with them. It's like, listen, like this kid's a good player at our camp. We don't have the money for him this year. Like maybe he could go with you, develop for a year or two, and then he can come back. Or like this kid probably he's good, but he's not good enough for us. Would he play for you? And then, you know, then it's a conversation like, oh, you have a direct avenue from that camp there. So, you know, if you go work Drake is up here, it's a Division 1 university in Des Moines. So I work Drake's camp. There's 100 kids there. Not 100 kids can go to Drake. what's the next opportunity for these kids, and we're less than an hour down the road. So yeah,
Oh, that's great.
it's definitely beneficial for us to go there and just get in front of those kids.
Yeah. Well, you kind of mentioned the potential for transfers there. Like how do transfers kind of fit into your recruiting? You mentioned junior colleges as well. So how does that work
Yeah.
for you guys?
So I have a little bit of bias because I went to junior college, and for us, if we're losing a big, so 2 years ago, when I took over, I was the assistant. We went to the national tournament. We were a top 10 team. We graduated 8 seniors, and then I got the job. So it was a year that we really needed. We needed junior college kids. We needed kids that were ready, for lack of a better term, so that we didn't have to take lumps with freshmen, and you don't know what you're getting so much, and they don't know what they're getting. So we recruited a big junior college class. So that's why this year was supposed to be those guys graduating, but then they're using their COVID year. I know we try to stay away from COVID, but I like junior college kids just because they're ready. You know what I mean? They've had 2 years, they've developed a little bit, physically. They understand the landscape. They know that. A strange thing when you recruit internationals is they don't know what overtime is. Like we have kids that come over as freshmen, and when the 90-minute ends and it's a draw, they're looking to shake people's hands. So you have to get them to understand that in America, you go to overtime, and you can, if they score, you lose the game. It's not like it is back in Europe, So, so I do. Junior college fits in. It's a massive part of our plan, just because if you see a junior college kid that scored 20 goals at a top junior college, they're going to be ready for us, as opposed to a high school kid that scored 20 goals in high school. Like, there's a lot of dog and duck high schools out there that you and me could score 20 goals against, never mind a fast forward. So that's just how we work. And again, I have some bias with that. Other people like to get freshmen in, work with them for 3 years, and then so they're ready by their junior year. But me going to junior college, I know it worked best for me to play my first 2 years, and then go on to a 4-year school, and then so.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your school for a bit. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of people probably not familiar with William Penn in Iowa. Maybe they know Penn in Philadelphia, but I can go to the website, click around. I see, I guess it has the kind of the Quaker history as a school, but give me some of the things that are really great about William Penn that maybe I'm not going to find on the website.
Yeah. So a funny story about Penn. First of all, we probably get 5 emails per semester for somebody that wants to go to school on the East Coast to Penn, and they see our name, and I was like, I'd love to go to school on the East Coast too, but it's not here. We're Midwest. So so William Penn, the Quaker thing that you're speaking about is William Penn was a guy that established like was part of the Quaker system in that area over in Pennsylvania, and then that's where he set up the university here. And we're not like a Mormon school. We don't have a big religious affiliation. The Quaker values are just be a good person, do the right thing, be respectful, do all those things. And that's pretty much it. You take one class on it. Every freshman has to take it, called Quaker Values. And it's just learning about being a good person. And that's pretty much it. So again, not really a religious affiliation. We don't have to go to
chapel or
classes.
anything.
A lot of Bible schools out there. You don't have to do that. Also, we're not a Baptist school. Nothing like that. So again, people see that and they're like, "Oh, mate, that sounds culty." It's not at all. It's just one thing about values. So,
well, we probably need more people taking those courses
exactly.
in the world as it is today.
It's if everyone could take it, it might be a little bit better place. So, but about the university, we're a small private school, just outside of Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines is the capital. We probably got around anywhere from 1,100 to 1,200 students. Majority of students is the majority of the population is student athletes. So we have right around 20 sports. So all your major ones, including we just added the last couple of sports we added was women's wrestling, women's lacrosse. So again, we've implemented them onto the university. Men's volleyball team just beat the #1 team last year. They've only added in a couple of years. So a lot of student athletes. And the good thing about that for us is everybody's in the same boat. So we get a great attendance at games because everybody's a student athlete for the most part. So that's great for us because it makes a small town college experience and everybody supports each other. And with that also comes a great relationship with the professors, because the professors know that if the majority of my kids are student athletes, that they work with us really well. So again, we have kids coming over that, you know, don't do amazing on their TOEFL and can't speak English amazing right away. The teachers are great with our kids and giving them extra time because it's a small classroom experience where you have, you know, 20 to 30 kids to one professor. And I teach class here too. You get that relationship with a professor, and they help you out with your work. You know, you help you out with your coursework, you're able to pass. So it's one of the things that we're able to, that's unique to William Penn. With that, you know, the classes are academically rigorous. We have a variety of degrees that we able to give out. I teach a soccer class and I teach a fitness and wellness class, just on the side, just to help out. We don't have to do that, but and as far as the campus goes, so we're actually owned by a company called Musco Lighting. I don't know if you've heard of them before.
Yeah. They're one of the big stadium lighting companies in the country.
Yeah,
for sure.
So the headquarters in Oskaloosa, and they pretty much own the university. So on our campus, if you look at the window there, I see a massive Musco light with the baseball stadium. So they've built us an indoor turf. We have an indoor basketball, volleyball arena. So basically, our campus is this is going to be wrong, but what I mean is it's a demo site for Musco.
It's a showcase site for
yeah, exactly. So like, let's say you down in Florida want to start a soccer club and you want to build a facility that has 10 fields with lights. Musco would bring you to William Penn, Oskaloosa. Here's the difference. So our complex, like a half mile that way, has different fields. So we have our turf football stadium, we have our soccer stadium, we have practice fields, we have small sided fields, you have baseball, softball. And with that, there's different lights that are on it so that you could choose which one you want. So again, the good thing for us is we get all the state of the art lighting and facilities. And then with our indoor turf too. So the indoor volleyball arena, they brought in people from Disney to do the lighting for the experience. So it's the same lights that they have in the NBA, is at William Penn. And the same thing with our lighting at the stadium too. It's the exact same lighting that is going to be doing the Super Bowl this weekend, are the same lights. So again, we have that massive advantage because our facilities are similar to a smaller Division I facilities. And then next year we're just had a meeting with the AD yesterday. So we're getting on the football side of the turf, we're getting the same turf that the Minnesota Vikings have. And then on the soccer side, they're tearing up, and then we're getting the same grass field that just got put in at Wembley. So it's a hybrid of turf and grass. So it's that you put sand down, you put turf, what you're used to. They grow grass, and then when it's 50% done, the machine goes over and stitches the plastic into it so that the grass can go up. So it reduces in injuries with cutting on ACLs and concussions when you land on the ground. It's a little bit more forgiving than the turf side of it. And then the surface is immaculate because it's the plastic helps the grass go up straight and through, and it stays at the same level. So again, we have all these fantastic things that you'd never see at a Division I school because we're affiliated with Musco. So probably something you don't know about the university. So that's a little spiel on the school, the academics, the facility side of it, and then some of the things that we have that are proprietary to us.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Let's talk about kind of the student athlete experience. You know, you mentioned great facilities, but what's it like for students at your school balancing their academics and the athletic part?
Yeah, we like it because and when I speak to recruits and parents, one of the things that parents love is, you know, it's a smaller town. There's not a lot of things to do here to get in trouble. So you get to focus on your soccer and you get to focus on school, and there isn't a lot of distractions. So it's not like we have a campus downtown Manhattan where there's lots of things going on. You know what I mean? Like even up in Des Moines, which is less than an hour away, a town of 700,000 people. There's things to do, there's distractions. So for us, we love it because our kids never get in trouble. You know what I mean? It's not like there's 100 different bars they can go to and go out and gallivanting. There's not. It just doesn't happen here. So it's good for me. Parents love it because it means their kids are safe. They're in, the Midwest has a perception of being a safer part of the country. So again, we definitely feel that, and it's like it's one of the few places, the area around is one of the few places that you see that kids walk to school on their own. So the safety aspect is massive of it there. So with that, being only an hour away from Des Moines, is in the off season, if you want to go shopping or you want to go to Des Moines to the movies, or you want to go, you can do that. We're only less than an hour away there. We're right by Kansas City if you want to go down there. We're close to Chicago. Like I said, we're right in the middle of all the major hubs in the Midwest. So that you can have those experiences if you want. But for William Penn, just being a part of the student body, like I said, you're focusing on your soccer and you're focusing on your schoolwork, and those are the two main reasons that you come here. For us anyway. I know that the other coaches like it too, so that the kids don't find a way to, if trouble seems to find you in bigger towns where I've lived in the past.
Yeah. Well, so what would a typical day look like for a player, like just a practice day during the season, from waking up to nighttime?
Yeah, so we do a little bit different, and I don't know, some schools do it now, but we lift in season, and then we also lift on game day. So like if it was a non-game day, it would be class starts 8 till 3:15 for us, practice 3:30, and then that would go till probably like 5 o'clock. So again, whatever you have in your class, within that would be opportunities for you to do some work on your own. So again, you're not in class from the whole time, 8 until 3. It's not like high school. So again, we have kids that are in the treatment room on campus. Kids are doing some individual stuff on the practice turf that we have there. And then after that would be practice anywhere from an hour to hour and a half. Before that would be whatever way we work it, depending on if it's a game the next day or if it's post game. And that would be our scouting reports. So at the stadium, we have our own space that we have TVs that we can watch the game back or watch the game forward. And then we can implement the stuff that we want to work on straight into practice. So kind of getting us ready for the game. But after that, if it's a game day, then you'd wake up, we have lifting at 6 a.m. and then they're off on their own, because then we don't have a game, we don't kick off till 7:30. So again, even if it's a road game, so they lift in the morning, if we leave at 12, so they lift and then go. So we want bigger, stronger kids here. It's tough to find lifting times that don't complement practice. So again, if a kid goes straight from class to lifting and then to us, by the time practice is done, they're dead. But, if we space it out on the game day, it gives them that 12 hours of recovery, and they're not maxing out on their lifting days. They're, a couple of reps, activation stuff, mobility, all that stuff in the game. So that'll be a typical day with their class and practice, and if it's a game day or not a game day, but it depends on home and away as well, if we're traveling a couple of hours. So, yeah.
Yeah. What's your normal travel times to games on your normal schedule?
Yeah. So our conference it goes from north, east Iowa, all the way to Springfield, Missouri. That's the furthest two teams. So they're 9.5 hours apart. So we're right in the middle of that. So the furthest for us is 5.5 hours to Springfield. And then we'd go up there as 3 or so hours to northeast Iowa. So Springfield, we have 4 teams in and around Kansas City. So that's the bulk of the conference is Kansas City. So that'll be our away game. So again, that would be if we're playing them on a Saturday night, we'd go down Friday evening, we'd practice here, get on the bus Friday evening, spend the night in the hotel, and then wake up there. We'd do a team walk, head to the game, and then play the game Saturday night, and then head back up here. So that's usually where we're going. So we're nowhere further than Springfield, Missouri, which is down the very south of Missouri.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about the team and playing and stuff. So how many do you like to keep on your roster usually?
It depends. So like travel roster, we probably take 20 to 22. Home rosters, we can roster up to 30. So I mean, it's I like to have it as full as possible, like especially away games. Like it's tough on away games because, if you only have 20, two of them are goalkeepers, you don't have as many subs as you would like. And obviously with the college game, you can sub as much as you want, and it's a big part of it. So with us, that being right around 30 to 20 is a great number for us because it's very, very competitive. And you have the kids 30 to 20 that are probably the younger kids that, like the experience of practicing, and then being a part of the team for the home games. And then your away group is probably your bigger bulk of kids, your starters and your second string kids that are going to contribute minutes. So that's roughly what we like to keep on the roster. And like I said, kids like it, keeps them engaged. And then, one of the things that injuries always happen, suspensions always happen. So you need those next kids ready to play. And that's normally what we practice with.
Yeah. So in terms of if I'm a freshman coming in, am I resigned to that 20 to 30 slot, or am I fighting for minutes and starting possibilities?
No, we started 3 freshmen this year. It's never a case of seniors are definitely going to play. It's just that they've been here for 2 or 3 years. They just know the lay of the land. It's just easier for them to come into preseason. They're just a little more acclimated when they get here. That's usually why you see more seniors playing. They're bigger, they're stronger, they've been through the weight program. They get it a little bit more. But that being said, like I said, we our right wing back this year, our starting center back of our 3-5-2, we're both freshmen. And then with that, a center mid came in as a transfer, started for us. And then a right side center back also as well. And then we worked away at having a new keeper throughout the season too. So new kids come in, definitely contribute. It's not a case of we have these kids that are definitely going to play. So yeah, we if you're good enough, you're old enough.
All right. Well, you mentioned earlier you had some GAs and some other stuff. So how big is your soccer staff, and what role do they play, whether that's practice or game days?
Yeah, so we have the most we've had, and it was this year, we have 3 graduate assistants. One of them was a player using his COVID year last year. So we had 2. A lot of other schools have full-time staff, and we're just not blessed with that. Here we're trying to integrate. We're trying to get one of the GAs on to be a full-time assistant, which would hopefully help. But as far as them, I like to delegate a lot to them, because what I'd like for them to do is eventually leave and become coaches themselves. So for that to happen, they have to know pretty much the runnings of everything. And here, when you're at small school athletics, you do everything. We run their own study halls. We do our own grade checks. We do our own fitness stuff. We have staff here to help out with that. We do our own fundraising. They're in charge of they help out with the recruiting. You know what I mean? They're sending emails, they're setting up visit days, they're running the camps. So again, I like to delegate a lot to them, because like I said, eventually you're going to want to have a hands-on experience. And I'd like it to be a place where if somebody's looking for an assistant after being a GA here, they go, oh, they've been through the William Penn system, they know what that looks like, as opposed to, I hear stories of other GAs that don't have to go into the office, just turn up on game day, picking up cones. You're not really learning anything here. So it's definitely a hands-on experience, and I know our guys like it. It's tough at times, but this job is supposed to be tough, because it's never easy winning and losing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you mentioned a little bit earlier in terms of your style of coaching, but how would you describe your style of coaching? You mentioned 3-5-2. How do you guys like to play as a team?
Yeah, so last year we played 3-5-2, and kids ask us this all the time. It's the number one question kids ask us on these calls when I'm recruiting with a kid through Zoom, and that's the norm now. They ask, what's your style and what's your philosophy? And it's a tough answer to give because of some of the stuff I've said, where I could have an idea in my head. I was like, I'm going to play this way. And then you come in and you have 2 unbelievably fast wingers. I'm going to play 4-3-3, or 2, these are my best players. I'm going to adapt to the best 11 that I have in order for us to win the game. So that would be the most important thing that I try to say, because it changes every year. You know what I mean? Some years I have to play direct. Some games you have to play direct. some games you have to defend more than others. So we just want to adapt as much as possible to win the game. But within that comes their set of principles of, we want the ball as much as possible. We want pressure on the opposition as much as possible. We want to be the fastest transition team on the field. So what does that look like in training sessions? So we dial it back to our sessions. Okay, so I can't afford to, like I said, have 2-3 guys standing around if we want to be the fastest counter-attacking team, the fastest defensive transition team, because it's not just defensive transition, it's defensive transition team. It's not defensive transition, these 8 guys and you 5 guys stand up there, whatever, you guys over there chill.
Yeah.
So that it's kind of how we try to make it work, is we can adapt to win the game and to have a successful season. We're also keeping with our principles of our work rate and how that looks on the field. So again, kind of a vague roundabout answer, and not specific to you. But like I said, if I never want to promise a kid that we're going to play 3-5-2, because we won't always play that way. And I never want to promise a kid that we're going to be a high pressing team like we have the last 2 years, because maybe I don't have the players that are like that. Maybe I have more ball players, and like I said, it changes every year. So just being able to adapt, I think, is something that's important.
Yeah, no, I mean, makes perfect sense. You know, we're talking here during the spring. So what does your off season program typically look like?
Yeah, so right now, kids came back the second week of January, and from then until spring break, which for us is the first week in March, the kids are lifting. So they're lifting 4 times a week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, they're lifting. The Wednesday part is their cardio days. And like I said, we're fortunate where we have our own strength and conditioning staff. Not a lot of other schools have that. So we have our own staff that run that program for us. They're all USCS certified. So it's beneficial for us for them to go over and run that program. But other than that, it's lifting 4 times, and then depending on their grades, their study hall. So again, if you have above a 3.5, we don't make you go to study hall. If you have below that, you go once. If you have below a 3.0, you're going twice. And we're doing their grade check stuff too. So study hall a couple nights a week, lifting up until spring break. After spring break, we'll dial back the lifting. So they'll lose 2 days of lifting and they'll pick up 3 days of practice. So it'll be a 2-3. So some days, Mondays will be a lifting day, Tuesdays a practice day, Wednesdays they'll do both. And then, yeah, so that's kind of how it looks like for the spring. And then at NAIA, we get 3 playing dates to play. So we get 3 scrimmages in the spring too. So we'll use that after spring break. There's not much you can do in Iowa before spring break, unless you're shoveling snow and find a patch for you to play. But like we'll practice indoor. We have that indoor turf, so we'll practice in there. And then graduation is the first week of May, and then crack on for the summer.
All right. Well, shoveling gets you your strength and your cardio. You both in one shot, right?
I'll tell my guys you said that, and I'll see if they think it.
Although I don't know if the certified strength and conditioning guys would agree, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. I got one last question. This is kind of just the catch-all here. You know, what else would you like prospects, families, potential players to know about your school, your program, anything that we haven't covered so far?
Yeah, I would just say do your research. And I think that's important for not just for William Penn, for every university. And like I joked about, if you send if you're looking to be recruited by a school, and if you send them an email that you want to go to Penn on the East Coast, I'm probably not writing back to that email. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then simple things like if you're emailing coaches, like spend the time to don't email every school. So if you do the research, and I'm going to open an email that says "Hi Coach Brown" as opposed to "Hi Coach," because your "Hi Coach" is your blind carbon copy. I did it before. I know exactly what we're doing. Every kids all do it. It's an easy thing to do, but you know, being recruited and finding a scholarship isn't easy. Not everyone gets to play college soccer, especially now with the COVID stuff. That is, I know we don't want to talk about it, but it's a very real reality for high school seniors and juniors, because like I said, with schools out there, they're keeping kids on for an extra year. So do your research on the school, do your research on the level, do your research on the players that are graduating, that could be graduating, so you know a position may open. So that would be my bit of wisdom for the kids, not just for William Penn, but for everywhere that they're going in their recruitment journey.
That's great. No, I appreciate that. Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck in the fall season. Hope you get back to that national tournament and hopefully take home some hardware. We'll keep an eye on your progress and wish you nothing but the best.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thank you.